All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Yelena, and I'm Cognos Analytics Administrator. So the purpose of today's session is to help you get started with Cognos Analytics and to introduce you to some beginning topics. We're gonna have two sessions total. Today's our first session, and it's gonna be quite long. So, but don't worry, I'm recording it. You will need to watch the recording or parts of the recording more than once. Trust me, you will have to watch it more than once. Okay? So now, here is the agenda. I'll show you again I'll show you how to access Cognos Analytics. I'll help you get started. We're gonna talk about the interface. We're gonna talk about the data sets versus data module, data preparation, data explorations, etc. And most of you probably by now received the link to videos playlist, okay? And of course, there are gonna be some questions and answers, okay? So now, what is Cognos Analytics? The whole idea it's a self-intuitive service, web-based interface rather, right? So you upload the data or the data is uploaded for you, and you're gonna look at the data exploration for the decision making. You're gonna extract useful insights about your data in a natural language, right? So it supports the data visualization without writing any Python or R or Java code. You just drag and drop data. You just drag and drop data fields into Canvas, and then also it visualizes the data, and based on the data that you're currently looking at, it's going to give you the suggested visualization. All right, it's going to give you the visualizations as suggestions. Can you hear me? I try to be as loud and clear as I can. Okay, so that could be the speakers. So check the volume. All right. So now, and you can also preview data that is being visualized. Cognos also supports reporting, but we are not doing reporting in this course, but just know it's there. Okay, now, important. Please make sure when you're doing the work, you will not be able to connect, more likely you will not be able to use your work PC. Do not hit the browser back button because you might lose the work. Deletions cannot be undone. This is not a PC, and there's no recycle bin. You know how on a PC you delete the file, you can recover it from recycle bin? Not the case here. If you delete the data set, the visualizations that use that data as a source are gonna become invalid, all right? So make sure you're gonna use your personal laptop and connect to the home network. Do not connect to your employer network. Save your work, start working on assignments earlier, uh, close everything before you log out. And I need to add something very important. Please do not attempt to change your password. Please do not do it. Because if you're having a problem, me or the other guy, his name is Mike, either of us should be able to log into your account to check what's going on, okay? Also, another problem is if you lose your password, somehow I'm unable to reset it back. So please be very careful and do not change the password. Keep it as is. Everybody's password is the same because we need to be able to uh, log in as you, and if we need to help you, okay? Now, in your classroom, if you go to your classroom, there's a link to access Cognos, okay? So let's go to your classroom, right? So I'm in one of the sessions, but the thing is, all sessions are set up the same. So see this virtual lab access? You're gonna click on this icon and this is gonna open this environment. This is a Cognos. You're gonna put your username and password. So everyone's account has been created, unless you were registered late for the course. It should not have happened, but it did happen once, okay? Now, what is a password? So let's figure it out. It's all of you. You have the student email, right? Oops. Do you have an email that ends with student.umgc.edu? Right? Oops, something is going on. Okay. So all of you, you have an email that ends with student.umgc.edu, right? Okay. Now, you're gonna take this first part of that email. Like for example, suppose that I'm a student. My email is msmith@student.umgc.edu, right? So then my username is gonna be msmith. Okay. It's the first part of your email that ends with student.umgc.edu. All of you have that email, right? And I believe all of you log in this email to access the classroom, right? You use that email to access the classroom. You take the first portion. Everybody's password is welcome. I'll tell you how to remember. The word welcome, but the password must have a number. So number 3 is above letter E on the keyboard. So I took out number 3. I took out letter E and I put number 3. Then I have to have a special character. I added exclamation and I made first letter capitalized. So that's welcome. It's everybody's password. And this piece here is the first part of the student email. Some common mistakes that students make is that they put their classroom password here. No, it's not your classroom password. It's this password, okay? Please remember that it's this password, welcome. And it's not your entire email. It's only portion of the email, okay? So the reason you did not have account when the class started because I had to wait for registration to end before I could start creating accounts, all right? So now you have access, all of you. So this is a welcome page. This is a page that you're gonna hit when you log in. So I'm not gonna use my university. I'm not gonna use my university username to log in because my username is set up with an admin access. So I'm gonna just log in as a demo account, okay? So I have an account that I created with the same permissions as your account, and I'm gonna use it for purpose of tonight's demo. Oops, I mistyped something. Okay, okay. Ooh, sorry guys, let's redo it. Oops, never happened before. It never broken me before. Sorry guys, my apology. Never broke. This is the first time. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna log in. Remember that it's gonna be your email, right? And also password. Everybody's password is welcome. I was able to log in a while ago. 1 second, I'll get it. Okay, now see this is what happens when you save the password. Sorry guys. Just before this, before this session, I was logged in. Sorry. Okay, let's log in. Sorry guys, it just ridiculous. Just a while before this session, I was logged in. So let's do this. Let me exit everything. Hold on. Sorry guys. Never happened before. I swear. So this is how you exit. To exit the machine, you're gonna go and log off all the way, okay? Okay, so you go here and you go log off. Log off, log off, okay? And you close this. Now I'm gonna go back here and I'm gonna log back on. Okay, I'm logging back on. It's gonna launch Cognos right now, right? And I'm gonna log in. I'm gonna make it work. Here we go. Sorry about that. So this is a home page. This is a page where you're gonna end up when you log in, okay? So what do you see here? Here you can just ask questions about your data, right? Natural language questions. Here it's gonna see everything that you had recently opened. Right now I don't have anything. At the moment I removed all my recents just to show you what you're gonna see when you log in for the first time. Okay, the same permissions that you have. So what do I have here? I can launch my assistant here, and I'll show you what that is, no worries. But mainly, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to content, right? So there are several types of content here. My content is the area that you see, okay? See that? So my content is the area that you can see. Team content is the area that has files that are shared with you, okay? So some of these files were pre-installed during the Cognos setup, such as calendars, sample templates. This was set up during Cognos installation. This folder is a folder that I created for you, and it has the data sets that you're gonna use for assignments. And in this folder is the data that we're gonna use for today's walkthrough. If you want to follow along with me, if you want to follow me while you're watching the recording, okay? So here, this is the data, this is the folder, and the folder contains subfolders. So if I click here, there are 3 subfolders in here. First subfolder has data for the Unit 2 quiz and the first assignment, okay? So this is, you're gonna click here. This is the data that you're gonna copy to your content in order to work on your quiz and the first assignment, right? Here, as a data set for assignment 3 through 5, this is one data set for assignment 3 through 5, right? Oops, what's happening? Okay, password, everybody's password is welcome. I'm gonna let you have the slides, okay? I'm gonna let you have the slides. So if you go to the slide in here, everybody's password is welcome, but I replaced letter E with number 3, okay? Yes, thank you, thank you. Everybody's password is the same. So now let's go back. We were talking about, see, that's the main menu, right? You can use the new option to create new explorations from here, but I'm gonna show you the better approach, okay? So this is a content. Remember this. There are 2 types of content. The content that's yours, only you have access to it. And the team content is what was created for you. So here, these breadcrumbs here show you where you currently are within the team content. See this? So what you're gonna do is this. You're gonna go to here. So this is the data for the quiz. You're gonna click on this triple dots and you're gonna make a copy of this, right? Copy. This file is saved in a shared area in the team content, but the goal is to make a local copy in the my content. So you're gonna select this folder, my content. And what you're gonna do is, see, you're gonna select this file and you're gonna click on copy. That will make a copy of the file. If I go to my content, I'm gonna see this insurance file that I just copied, okay? Well, and there's some samples here. This was pre-installed. That's not something that I did. So here, see this? You can navigate like this. And for your last 3 assignments, for the last 3 assignments, you're gonna have choice for the data sets, right? You're gonna pick one out of how many here, whatever. You're gonna pick one. You have a lot of choices for the last 3 assignments. But first thing first, right? This is for quiz 2. And I'm gonna go over a lot of stuff that you need to know for quiz and for the first 3 assignments at least, okay? So this is a file, and what you see here, file name, some comments, I put the data source here in the comments because people were asking me about the column descriptions, okay? So what else do you see in here? This is to filter. So if I had a lot of files and I was searching for, I know the file name, but I have it all cluttered. I have 100 files, so I can search for the file by the file name. I can sort my file. I can add a subfolder if I want to organize. I can add subfolder called assignment 3, for example, and save all my files into that subfolder. There is a tile view. I like tile view better, but you can also change it to the list view if you want. All right. So you're gonna be working for your first assignment. You're gonna start working straight from the data. You're gonna click here. You're gonna go straight to create an exploration. Okay. This is how you're gonna do the work, but I'm gonna show you a different approach in a second. So see, I selected it. All right, it shows one item selected. You click here, it opens up the context menu, what you can do with this data, right? But for today's demo, we're gonna use a different data, okay? So this is just how to access preloaded data sets. You're gonna copy the data to your folder. You're not gonna work from data that is copied to everybody's else folder. But for tonight's demo, we're gonna use claims and weather data. So that data stores customer information, including the state and their country. It has information on the claim and information on the vehicle that the person drives, the type of accident that the person has, and based on that, we are trying to estimate the total claim amount, right? And in here, if you take a look at it carefully, what is this blank? Some blanks are missing values. The data has some rows and some columns that have missing values, see? And why missing values are a problem? Well, see, the data is missing. How are you going to analyze, right? And I'll show you several ways today how we can handle those missing values, okay? So some records missing the value. But what you're gonna do on your first assignment, you're gonna start straight from the data set, okay? But what is data set? Data set is just a CSV or Microsoft Excel file, straight file. You cannot preview the data directly. You cannot customize the data directly, all right? You cannot add the calculations and the hierarchies, and you cannot just click and preview the data directly. Instead, today, I'm gonna show you how to use data module. The steps to create exploration from data set are the same as the steps to create exploration from data module, but I'm gonna start from data module, all right? So why we use the data module? Because you can customize them, you can add the filters. If you have a calculation that you want to reuse from exploration to exploration, or from stories that you're gonna create, we talk about stories next time. But if you have some calculations that you want to be reusable, you probably need to create a data module and add all of that to data module. So data module can be used as a source for another data module, but we're not gonna get into as complex here. In general, they all are combining multiple data sources, all right? So, but if you want something like a calculation or some filters to be reusable across the board, we want to apply them in a data module, okay? So I'm going to show you how to create the data module. You can use, if you want to, you can click on this new menu and you can click on new and you can create new data module from here. But if you do it this way, you will have to specify what data you're using as a source. But I like it. I prefer to click on this data and click create data module here because it's clear what data I'm using, right? It's just clear. It's gonna pick up the data that I clicked on. There we go. So now I'm creating a new data module. At the moment here, the default name is a new data module. What I need to do is, well, I need to save it. Always save the work. See this floppy disk? This is how you would save the work. Now, at the moment, I just created the new data module, right? And I'm gonna call it claims and weather data module. Oh, see that it picked up the names I used in the past. Now, am I going to save this file to the team content? No, take a look at it. Save button is grayed out because I don't have permission to save anything in the team content, right? It's the same permission. So I'm gonna save it to my content and I'm gonna click on save. So now, this is a file name. And if you don't see asterisk next to the file name, it means I saved the latest change. What is this? Do you remember when we looked at the data set, right? You saw the column names here. So that way back in the other slide, we looked at the data preview, right? And see this, the first row in the data are the column headers. So the column headers are listed over here. And next to each column header, you have a different icon. And the icon represents the data type. But if you're very observant, you may or may not have noticed that see this row ID. But when I looked here, there is no such a column called row ID. What is this? This is a hidden column that Cognos added for me. It's just like a row number. And it's, see this, it's grayed out. It means that it's hidden. It's going to be hidden from users. When we build visualizations, users will not see it. And the icon indicates the column data type. And I mentioned that you can preview the data. To preview the data, you just click on this. See, this is the source that we used to create this data module. I click here and it's going to list the columns, right? And this is your data. And please note that null, missing values are represented as null in here. Null. You remember that when you look at the data, I pointed out that some values are missing. They are represented as null in the data. And also see column names appear here, right? So then for each column, what you can do, it depends on the column data type, the properties that you see for the column, right? So let's go back here. You create new data module, right? So what do you have? I spelled it out, what you have in the data module. And I explained what null is. So now I showed you how to save, right? So now we're going to look at the column properties. So if I select any of the column, like a coverage, right? So that's a categorical column, text values, basic, external, premium, etc. So what I'm going to do, see this, I right click. When I right click, it tells me the options, what I can do. But let's look at the column properties. So this is a property. Label is how the column name is displayed to the user. I can show the column to the users and I can hide. So when the column is hidden, it's not visible for the explorations. It's not visible to users. It's a difference. So if I don't want to see something, if I don't want to see users to see the income, for example, I'm going to hide it. I'm not going to delete it, but hide it. Why? Because if you delete the column, all calculations where you use that column will become invalid, okay? So if I want to be able to use the column in the calculations which are defined in data module, but I don't want the users to see that column, then I'm just going to hide it, right? Hide and unhide, okay? Then expression, it tells me how the values in the column are read from the original data, okay? So it tells me which column in the data that's being read into this column in a data module. It's taking the coverage. Okay, it's an identifier, and this tells me this aggregation. It's how the data is being summarized. So if I was going to summarize this data by state, perhaps, right? It's gonna count the distinct, right? So it's going to count the distinct coverage type per state. Well, something like that, okay? So this is a text data type and etc., right? But if I look at this column, the properties are going to be different. In its aggregating, it's taking the sum, which we don't like, right? So let's find our column. This is a total claim amount that I'm going to use for analysis. And I don't like, this is what I don't like here. If I'm going to summarize this column, perhaps by the state, do I care about the sum of all claims in the state? Do I care about the total money? No. I probably want to look at something called average, right? So how do I look at the average? I don't want to change this at the visualization level, right? I can change it for each visualization, but it's annoying, isn't it? Too much work. So what I'm gonna do here, I can change it here. And the change will apply everywhere where I use this data module as a source, right? So I showed you how to change the aggregation type. Aggregation type tells us how the data is being summarized. And I think I also want to do the same for income. Suppose that your data contains 200 columns. This is a shortcut on how to find the column. You type the column name here and you see it, right? So for the income, I also want to look at the average when I summarize this column. And I'm going to save it right now. So those where this topic was on basic column properties, right? Then also there is something called the screen tip. This is basically in visualizations. If I hover over that column name, this is what is going to be displayed. All right. So data preparation. Data preparation allows us to add filters to data. Perhaps we want to exclude certain rows from analysis. You can hide certain columns from the views. Like in that case, we were hiding the row ID. Also, if your data set has something like security number or social security number or names or credit card number, you want to hide it from users. You can change column properties like I just showed you. You can handle missing values. To handle missing values, one option is to remove all row altogether, but then there is the risk of losing data. You may impute the missing values such as set to column average, or if the value is text, you can create a separate category such as other and set it to other. You can remove, you can hide, not remove, hide the column where most of the values are missing. Or like I just said, you can treat missing values as a separate category. I have a video on treating missing values or the text column as a separate categories. Sometimes you want to look at the outliers, which are abnormally large or abnormally small values. You can add the calculations, data groups, and navigation paths, okay? Now, I showed you how to hide the column, right? Simple. Just right click and hide. Now we're going to talk about filters. There are two types of filters. Filter specifies the condition that must be followed for the column to stay, right? For the row to stay. To define the filter, we need to build the expression. I'll show you how to use expression editor. The filter can be defined at the table view where you're using multiple columns to specify the condition. You may specify more than one filter, and there are two types of filter. Embedded filter, the records are removed, the records are filtered immediately. All right? They won't be available in explorations. Selectable filter is a filter that you can apply as needed. The rows are not filtered immediately, all right? You apply it directly to visualizations as you have to, and we're gonna do an examples of each, okay? So now, let's say I want to exclude the rows that missing the coverage effective to date. I notice that the rows missing a coverage effective to date are also missing a lot of other values. So let's just say this. We want to specifies a condition where effective to date is not missing. So how do we gonna do that? Well, first of all, let's undo this. So here, I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna go to manage filters, right? I use this manage filter because I'm not creating the selectable filter. I'm defining the embedded filter. So now instead of selecting the column, I want to use expression editor. Right? So now I'm going to click on add filter. That is going to open up the expression editor. What's an expression editor? Here I have all my columns, and here I have my operators, the summaries, right? And etc. So now what I'm gonna do is I said that I have to say effective to date, right? Now I need to find my operator called is not missing. It's in here, so I'm just gonna type, see, this is not missing. That this is a filter condition. And you saw that I had data, I had missing values, right? So in here, I need to use descriptive name for the filter. Let's just name it as effective to date is not missing, okay? I just name it like this. I want the names to be descriptive, okay? Now what you're gonna do, you're not gonna close this window, you're gonna click OK because you want to save it, right? And notice that the rows that have missing effective to date, the rows that did not have anything in effective to dates, they are what? They are gone. Because I defined what filter, what type of filter did I define? The embedded, right? So if you look at the effective to date, right? We saw a lot of values that were missing. Now we probably don't because it applies immediately, right? There is another type of filter called selectable filter, and now we're gonna use the expression, okay? We're gonna use bigger expression here. Suppose that I'm gonna do a lot of visualizations where I have a small vehicle and a policy type is personal. Personal policy for the small vehicles. There are two ways to do it. If I click here and if I select filter, I can do it this way. Filter, then I can just go ahead and I can copy the expression from my slide, but I'm gonna show you how to build it. So policy type is personal. I'm gonna find my column in here, policy type, right? Now I'm gonna say what operator, it's gonna be contains. Notice, see this, what's happening? When I type, it's gonna pick up what I want. I can type and pick it up, or I could also drag and drop, right? So contains and it's gonna be like this. It's in parentheses, right? And it's gonna be like this, personal. But what does and gonna do? And enables combining operators, right? Personal. If I knew how to spell. Okay, so this one, policy type contains personal. So this will filter the data to include only policy types that have the value personal. But I also want to do vehicle size contains small, right? Like this. So I'm gonna put and, right? Vehicle size, it's one of the columns, contains small. Very important, what you need to do is you have to validate. We want to make sure that the code, the expression is valid. There are no syntax errors. Then what else you're gonna do? There is something called prettified, right? So this one here is an information. Prettified means I want to indent. I want to make my code more readable. Well, expression more readable. It's not quite code. So I said here, policy type contains personal and the vehicle size contains small. But let's name this, let's put a descriptive name here. So personal coverage for small cars, let's keep it like this, okay? Now what? I'm gonna click on OK. And I'm gonna save it. What is the difference? Take a look at it. It's gonna be added here with a funnel, see this? This is a selectable filter. But if you also look at it, right? Vehicle size, right? If you look at the vehicle size, right? See that this is a vehicle size column. I said small. Why does it still have mid-size? Think about it. Why? Because the filter type is what? Selectable. And selectable filter does not apply right away. We choose when we want to apply it, okay? Now, what else? So this was about the filters. Next topic, let's go back. I'm gonna cover a lot. I'll try to cover as much as I can. Next thing, what we're gonna do is we're gonna cover, we're gonna fill in the missing values of the income to the column average. So you notice that if you look at the income column, it has some values that are missing, still does, right? So let's search for income in here. Okay, so this is a column, and it has a lot of missing values. Do you see this null? Null is a missing value. But I don't want this to affect my calculations. I'm gonna set it to the average. However, you need to keep in mind that you could be adding some bias to the data when you do it. But just for the purpose of the example on how to use the software, let's do it. So this is the expression. It tells how the data is read from the source, from the file. I'm gonna click on view here, view or edit. Okay, and what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna use this expression here. It's gonna be in the construct, if then else, okay? I drag and drop. Okay, what is my condition? My condition is this, income is missing, right? I just type this. If income is missing, is missing, is missing. Okay, now, if it's missing, I want to take the average, right? Then I want to put here average. I can drag and drop, or I can do this average. Jesus, it found it. And average is gonna be what? Income, right? Otherwise, I want to keep it as is. Okay? Otherwise, I want to read it as is from the source. Okay? So now let's make sure that I got correct syntax. How do I make sure that I get correct syntax? Validate. Oops, the expression is not valid. So there is there is something here. See this? That was the error. So now let's validate again. So if the expression is not valid, you're gonna see the error here. So if income is missing, then I'm taking the average of the column, otherwise I'm doing income. Okay, so now I just do prettify, okay? And I'm gonna keep the column name as is. I just change how the column is being read from the source, okay? So, and also, if I wanted to, I could also round it, right? But for right now, let's just keep it as is. Do you see this? This is average. The missing value was replaced with an average. What I also did for you, there is a video on how to replace the missing value in the claim type with other. So watch that video, okay? Hopefully you got the link to the playlist. There are some useful videos that you're gonna like, okay? Next topic is a calculation. What's a calculation? It's just an expression. You can define it just by it's the expression. It can be it's a use predefined functions and operators. Calculation, it can return just a single value. Like for example, if I want to just track an overall average of income, right? It can be standalone calculation, or it could be embedded calculation where you store the value with each row, right? And if you want this calculation to be reusable everywhere, where you use this data as a source, you probably want to add this calculation to the data module. I have a column here called monthly premium, but suppose that I want to create another column and I want to call it what, as annual premium, right? So I'm gonna search for my monthly. This is monthly, right? And I can just do this and I can do create I can do it this way, but I don't like to do it this way. I like the calculation editor, okay? So here, I'm gonna call it annual, annual premium, okay? And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna multiply this by 12. That's it. Always validate and always do this, prettify, okay? I like to do this. I like to use prettify. Nothing to prettify really here, but this is an annual. That's it, right? So I'm gonna just click here, click OK. What does that do? It's gonna add the new column. This is called embedded calculation, when you store the value for each row, right? What I could also do is I could add another column where I'm storing the income average for a state where the customer is in, right? So how do I do it? Well, I can just click here and select the calculation, but let's do it this way. I'm gonna now search for the income, right? Because I want to calculate on the income. I go here and I can do the calculation, right? Create calculation. I like to use the editor. And here I'm gonna say state average income. So I want to know, I want to store for each row, I want to store the average income of the state in question, right? So how do I do it? I have to use average function, right? But remember this, the average can also, I also have for. So let's see, let's do this for, and I'm gonna take that income column and move it in the parentheses, right? Average income. And I'm gonna type this, I'm gonna type it for state because I want income by the state, right? So I'm gonna type for and for, not door. Now, what I can do is I can just drag and drop state in here. Okay, so let's see what's gonna happen. Let's try to validate. It's supposed to run. Not sure why it put an underscore, but well, okay, now, and we're gonna do the prettify. Nothing to prettify, but that's okay. It's gonna be average income for the customer state. And I'm gonna click on OK. And what that will do, it will add another column, right? It adds a column to the front, and this is a column. This is the average, okay? Now, what if I want to store overall average? I don't want to store it as many times as the number of rows. I want to store it overall average income once. How do I do it? Well, I can click here and I can create a calculation here, right? Or I can click here and select the calculation like this. So I'm gonna create just one calculation, right? And I'm gonna say this, so first of all, it's here, calculation. And how am I gonna do it? Okay, so first of all, suppose that I want to do income, or overall average income. So I'm gonna drag it here and I'm gonna put average. What is this? Okay, this is Excel file, and Excel file has multiple tabs. So this is a tab of the Excel file. It's the name of the tab in a file that I'm using for this data. Okay, then dot income. because this is a standalone calculation. It's just one value stored once. It's not stored with every row, okay? And I'm gonna type the average. And in this case, I'm gonna just keep this column. So here, I'm gonna save it as overall all average income, okay? So now I'm gonna do save. Well, okay, well, see this, it's here. It's stored, it's located here. It's not embedded calculation stored as a column. This guy here is just a standalone, single calculation, single value, okay? And in general, you could combine columns from multiple data modules. We're not gonna do anything complex here. Now, I'm gonna save it, see, hit this floppy disk to save my work. Because see, I've been telling you that you need to save, and I'm not doing it myself, you know, it does not make me look good. So that's just steps to create calculation, right? I spelled it out for you. You're gonna have the slides. Now we're gonna talk about the data group. What's a data group? Well, let me explain in the real life. For the assignments, you're getting numeric grades, right? Like 90%, 80%, 85, 95. But if you look at your academic records, you get the letter grade. You don't get the actual numeric score, right? So this is secretly, this is data groups, right? So 90 to 100 is an A, 80 through 89 is a B, right? So this is a data group and also called, sometimes it's called binning or it could be called discretization, depending on the textbook you're looking at. By default, it's gonna put approximately the same number of values in each group. So you can define you can define the data group on numeric column and also on a text column. Like for instance, if I want to group the number of policies that the customer has, I'm gonna find the number of policies here. Okay, this is number of policies. I'm gonna click here and I'm gonna select create a data group. This is numeric, so for numeric, what it's gonna do is it's gonna define the ranges for me. Above 8, 6 to 8, etc. See? But if I wanted to, I could always change the number of ranges, number of groups, and I can change the boundaries. I'll keep the default. This is gonna be the name of the columns, name of the column, and you can edit it. But data group is a column, it's gonna add new column here. Instead of the actual value, it's gonna show the value labels. Those are the value labels that you're gonna see. And I'm just gonna click stay with default and click create. What now? It's gonna add a column in the front, right? If you go here, it's added this column, see? Those are the values. See that? And then if I wanted to edit at any time when I want to edit the way it's defined, or let me show you something. It writes the code for you. See this? This is a code that was generated for you. Whoa. But no worries. Okay? You probably want to do it this way. You probably want to right click and you want to say edit data group. This is how you would changes, okay? The expression is very complex. It generates this complex code for you, which you're probably not gonna want to get into, but just know it's there, okay? For the categorical columns, the groups are not predefined. So for example, I have this here, policy, and suppose that I want to group the policies, personal in one group or corporate in another one, etc. So how do I do it? I click here and I can do it, create data group, I can select it from here. That's another way. Or you can find the column in the column list here. But this time I'm doing it this way. This is a text. So to create another group, you just have to click a new group, right? And you're gonna edit the group name. Like for example, I want a corporate, right? So now you're gonna add the values to that group. See, I selected here are all possible values in that column. So you're gonna do this, and I'm gonna hold the shift key, and I move this here, and I left one more, 4, right? But if, for example, if I move the wrong value, I can always remove it, right? I would select that value and click this to remove. Now I have to add another, I'm gonna add another group, and I'm gonna call it personal, and I'm gonna drag that value. So I'm gonna, well, I just select shift, and I can click on the arrow. And another group called special, okay? So you have to define the labels, special, but okay, notice that it added something that I don't want. So I can just select it and click on minus. We're gonna do special. I'm gonna select this, shift, right? Oops. Or you can move one at a time if you want. Okay, so this is defined. Well, I'll just keep as is policy group, and I'm gonna do create. But if you look at it, what it does is it adds another column, and it adds a column to the front. See? See this? It added this column. Okay, so this is data groups. Remember, this is not just for numeric. You can group the textual text values. All right. But again, the data that you're going to be working with is different from this data, right? So now that's a data group for numeric, right? You would have to, for the categorical, for the text values, you have to explicitly add the values. Next topic is a navigation path. What is navigation path? It allows us to drill through our data. Let me give you some good example. You want to look at the average grade on the first assignment, okay? And there are 4 sessions of data 6, 10. First, I want to look at the overall average. Then, well, then I'm gonna drill down. I'm gonna look at the average grade for assignment 1 in this semester in the spring. Then I'm going to drill down further and look at my data by session. Then I can come up with another criteria, right? Maybe the date when the work was submitted, something like that, okay? Another good example would probably be I can look at the data by year, by months, by day, by hour. So that's a hierarchy. Some data is hierarchical. In this case, I want to suppose that I want to look at my data. I want to be able to drill through by data and look at by state and location code inside the state. So I'm just going to create this navigation. But if I want, this is something that I want to do multiple times in different visualizations that I create, right? In different dashboards, etc. I want to reuse it. I created in data module. So I do this. I do. And I'm going to create the navigation path. How do I do this? I need to find my columns, and I said that I want to do the state, right? Or a state code. Let's pick the state. And within the state, I did that. I want to do the, what was that? The region. Well, okay, location code. So let's pick state, and now I'm going to drag and drop the location code. It's going to name it for me, but let's just keep this default name. I like it. It's state and then location code inside the state, and I'm gonna click OK. Okay, so that created the drill down, and I can use that. I'll show you how to drill through visualization when we get to data exploration piece of this. I know it's a lot of information, but guys, you will have this recording, and as I said in the beginning, you have to watch this more than once, or at least part of this more than once. Okay, that's how we learn. And you will practice. So enough of that. Next topic is to create new data exploration. What's a data exploration? It's a workbook with visualizations. The goal is to get insight from your data. All right. So what you're gonna do, first of all, I'm gonna save it, then I'm gonna close it. How do I close it? I click here to close. There are multiple ways to create new exploration. You can go in here and you can select exploration, but I like to just go to my data module here. I like to click this here, and I like to select here, create exploration. What is this? Exploration, it looked at my columns that I have in the data, and it tries to kind of guess what I'm trying to predict in my data. Total claim amount. So I'm gonna select the total claim amount column here. And I'm gonna use it as a starting point. What this will do is it will represent each column as a dot or a pin. You can call it dot, you can call it pin. This is the column of interest. It's also called the target, right? This is what I want to predict. It's going to show in a darker color. And those are other columns that have some relationships with total claim amount. The line thickness shows the relationship strength. The thicker is the line, the stronger is the relationship. So if I hover, I see, for example, total claim amount and location code, the relationship is 67%. If you notice here, the relationship with the strengths under 10% are omitted. It only shows the relationships with the strengths above 10%, right? So if you hover, see this, I see the strengths, and this is the column name. So now I can, those are, I'm showing right now the columns that are related to total claim amount directly. And in here, it shows me the suggested visualizations that I might be interested to look at based on what I have selected, right? So I can just click on add and it's gonna add this as a card, right? It adds a card. I can click on this add and it's gonna add this card. Alternatively, I could select two columns. Like for example, I selected total claim amount and I can also, well, I can also select the location code. I have two columns selected and it's gonna give me visualizations based on the columns that I have selected. And I can add that one too, okay? Now what else? Let's unselect this. I can edit the diagram and I can show the secondary relationships. Secondary relationships are also show the relationship among the predictors, right? So like for example, here I can see that response has a relationship between employment status and in turn employment status has a relationship here, right? Oh, it has a relationship to marital status. Then marital status has a relationship to total claim amount. See that those are the in secondary relationships. Relationships among predictors, if you will. So I can uncheck it to go back, or I can do reset or original. All right. So this is, again, this is not the correlations. This just shows you the relationships. Okay. The relationship strengths rather. So let's go back to this. These topics can be covered in multiple ways, okay? But let's suppose that I did this. I went on another visualization. Is it possible to go back to relationship strengths thing? Yes, I can click here to go back to this diagram. See this, it's here. So, see this is cards. This shows me the visualizations that I have in this workbook. Also, what is this? This is a source. It tells me which data module I use as a source. And each column name has an icon. Those are the columns. Notice that there is no row ID in here because that column was hidden. Hidden means I cannot see it here. As a data type, the icon represents a different column data type, right? And what is this? This is a filter that we defined and we can use in visualizations as needed. But if I did not use a descriptive name, there is no way in the world to know how I define this without going back to data module. How am I going to know what is this? No way. So I used the descriptive filter name to know how it's defined, okay? Otherwise, I would have to go back to my data module. It's not the right way to do it. The right way is to use a descriptive name, okay? Uh, the calculations are available. See this? We created the calculation. Then we created the data group. They're available. And my hierarchy is available that I created. Why is it available here and I don't need to redo it all over? Because I created it in data module. Okay? Then we're going to talk about pins next time. What else is here? Undo and redo the latest changes. Okay? But I forgot to say, this is very important. I don't know how to emphasize this, right? So let's save it claims and weather data exploration. Okay, why is the save button grayed out? Ask yourself a question. Why save button is grayed out? Because I'm where? In a team content. I need to be saving the work to my content. Save. Okay, I saved it. Now what? Let's look more. Let's go to this card. I showed you one way to add visualizations. Now I'm gonna double click and open this card. This just gives me details. Details is just the insight. This is the average total claim amount, overall average. If I click on the fields, it shows me which fields are visualized. In this case, the values are what? I'm using the average for total claim amount. How do I know that it's average? If I go here and if I look at the summarize, it shows me that it's showing average. I specified that I changed the property to look at the average in data module. If I did not do that, I would have to change it for each visualization, or I would have to go back to the data here, summaries, and change it here. But then I'm still stuck, because I will have to change it in every data exploration where I use this data. It's too much work, right? We're gonna set it once. Oh, here are the insights. See that those are the details about the finding. So now, suppose that I want to, let's look at the little bit at the filtering. This is very important for your quiz. The last two questions. So I'm gonna do something similar, but I'm gonna do with this data, okay? So suppose that I'm gonna do the location. I'm gonna do the location code in this case. So I'm gonna find my location code and I'm gonna drag and drop location code in the filters area. Now suppose that I want to show only for rural, right? If I want to know what is the average total claim amount if the location is rural, how do I do it? I'll just select the rural value and I'm gonna click done. So this will update to location code is rural. But suppose that I want to know what is the average total claim amount if the location is rural or suburban? How do I do it? I want to show the average total claim amount, but I want to show it if the location is either rural or suburban. How do I do it? I'm going to go here, right? And I'm going to edit the filter. Oops. I'm just going to select filter, not remove filter, but filter. And I want to select rural and suburban. And I'm going to click done. So it's going to update the value. Okay? There is something along this line in the last two questions of the quiz. And I also created a video similar, well, not similar, I'm not going to answer your quiz question, but what I did was I provided an example which is similar to the quiz. Because the first time data 605 was offered, some students had problem with this question. So I have this example that will help you with the last two questions on the quiz, right? So it's asking, for example, in this case, I would ask, what is an average total claim amount for suburban location? How do we find out the average total claim amount for suburban location? I would need to drag and drop the location code filter here. Then I select the value that I'm interested in, right? Like, for example, if I'm looking only at the suburban, I would just select suburban, and I'm just going to click on done, and I get my value. Okay? This is how you would answer those questions. But as you're working on that quiz, you probably want to be logged into Cognos, because the questions are the questions are about Cognos. Okay? I'm not gonna give you the answers, but I'm gonna give you the tips on how to get the right answer. Okay? Did an example, but on different data. So that's that. You can add visualizations like this, or you can add the visualization from scratch. So let's just do, to add visualization from scratch, you're going to create, and you're gonna create a card. And in here, you're gonna select the visualization type, right? And I want to select the spiral. And the target is, we already know, the total claim amount, right? And I have a video, separate video on the spiral visualizations. See that? What is this? Those are the drivers. Driver is a column or combination of columns that has a relationship with the target. The total claim amount is a target, right? So what drives the total claim amount? Which columns could have a relationship with it? I can toggle this. One-way driver is a single column. Very important. You want to write a note for yourself which column has the strongest, which one-way driver has the strongest predictive strength. Why? Because later, when you're gonna get into decision tree model, the column with the strongest predictive strength is used as a first split of the decision trees. So this is very important. This diagram is important because you want to know which single columns, right? Which single drivers have the strongest predictive strength. The closer the spin to the center, the higher is the predictive strength. So location code, right? And the vehicle class, this is important information in here, okay? Then I can toggle, I can see the two-way driver, and I can see the multiple. Why this is important too? Because those are the columns that will be used in a decision tree. You've got the decision tree in this case, okay? And here it is. See this? This is the predictive strength. The predictive strength here of a combination of more than two columns is stronger than the predictive strength of any single column or combinations of two columns. You see, then you're gonna have the decision tree will work here for this, okay? I will touch a little bit decision trees, but we're gonna cover a lot on decision trees in the next class, okay? Next session. So what you could do here, this is a card number 2, you've got 4 cards, all right? That's what it's showing here. I'm going to save that. And you may have noticed that I added another visualization called driver analysis. This is the bullseye diagram, and you can look at the bullseye diagram sliced. You just sliced it. Those are your drivers, but the big difference is that for the drivers that you select, it's going to show the visualization at the bottom. And you can just add that visualization to your cards, right? You can do it like this. But see this, if I click this here, this is a combination of columns. This is a click here, I'm selected this driver, and it does the visualization for this driver. See that? Bigger circle, it says the number of records to which it applies, pretty much. So see, those are the each bubble is a driver, right? You have a one-way driver, two-way drivers, and multiple, more than 2 columns, right? So this is just, you can look at the visualizations. I hope it makes sense, right? Different visualizations, it's going to try to pick it up based on the column data types and the number of columns that you have in the driver. And notice that here, what has the strongest predictive strength? the combination, right? Then you have a decision tree, all right? And sometimes the decision tree cannot be generated. Why? Because you could not find the combination of more than two columns with a stronger predictive strength than the predictive strength of the two columns or any of the one-way driver. See that in order to have the decision tree, its predictive strength must be higher than the predictive strength of a one-way or two-way drivers. See? So just remember this, okay? Now we're gonna look at some other visualizations. Let's look at something little bit simpler, not simple, but simpler. So I'm just gonna go here. Another way to add visualization is to go here, choose type, and suppose that I want to look at the bar plot, right? So I'm gonna look at this bar plot. I need to specify. See, those are the data slots. What is data slots? It's columns that I used in my visualization, and if you have this star, it means that it's required. I must specify something to see the visualization. So I'm gonna drag and drop the field that I want to see. I drag and drop to length, and there is another way to do it. So the bar length is at all claim amount, but let's see what I want to be my bar. See that I can click here and I can select my column here, right? But I want this to be, let's say I want to select something like, let's do the education, right? I want to have a separate bar for education, see that? And I've got my insights in here. What I could also do you remember? I created the filter that I can select, right? I created the selectable filter. It's in here. Personal coverage for the small cars. I can drag and drop my filter in here, see? And it will be applied to the visualizations, see? So basically, the purpose of creating the selectable filter is a filter that I can turn on and off in my visualization. I can just drag and drop and apply it here. I don't need to redefine that expression. It just applied. But again, if I did not use descriptive names, there is no way in the world to say what it is, okay? Now, earlier today, we created the hierarchy. I need to show you how to use it. So this is a new visualization. And we want something that shows part of the whole, right? So I'm gonna select this tree map because this shows the part of the whole. And I want area hierarchy to be what? The state. This is a hierarchy. I drag and drop this to hierarchy. And I want to show the number of people in each state, right? So what I need to do is there is a customer. Customer uniquely identifies the customer. It's not quite, there could be more than one claim per customer. Keep that in mind, right? So we have to decide if we want to look at the number of claims per state or number of customers per state. So first, let's drag and drop in here. What is this doing? It shows the relative number of let's take a look at what it does. Look at this. If I click on the customer here, let's look at the summary. It's doing count distinct. So this one, in this case, it's gonna do the number of customers in a state because it's looking at distinct. If I was going to change it to count, it's gonna do the number of claims per state, okay? Because each customer could have multiple claims, right? Agree? Okay, so now what? So this is those are the states. And if I click here, I can see the data being visualized. See this Iowa, number of customers in Iowa, in Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska. But why do we have the hierarchy? Because I can click, right here, I can right click, oops, see this, and there is a way to drill down. See, I clicked on that guy and you can drill down. And when you drill down, it's going to show within that state, it's going to show the number of people for suburban, rural and urban location. So let's take a look here at the data being visualized. What is visualized right now? State is Missouri. This is a location type, and this is number of customers. So this is the data that I'm visualizing up here, okay? That's what it does. It's showing which data being visualized. And here, this is just gonna be all data, see? This is a visualized data, okay? And if I want to go back, I just go back. It will take me back to my initial visualization, all right? So that's that, save. There is another way to add visualizations, is to use an assistant. Now it's here. You will be asked to use it. One thing is that you can use it from the home page, but the reason I prefer to use it here because it picked up the data that I'm working with. It picked up that I'm looking at these claims and weather data. Okay. Here are the columns in my data. And for each column, I see different column data types. See this? I can click on show more to show the rest of the columns. And what you could do is you can click on a column to see more, but for that column, like a total claim amount, and this will show more information about that column. And here you want to see more details. For example, total claim amount. You can select like more details, like for example, total claim amount and location code, right? Or you can look at those are the columns that you might be interested in other words. Or you can look at what influences total claim amount. See, like if I click on what influences, those are the columns that influence total claim amount. And if I click on location code, it's gonna do visualization for me. See this? This is a visualization, so I can pick this visualization. If I was going to use this visualization, I would just select it, and I'm gonna drag and drop to here. So this shows me the average total claim amount for location code, right? That's another way. I did this visualizations. How do I know it says it's average? And because I changed the property to show average, right? You can also look at this here. There are different ways to visualize this, okay? The visualization type that you have is going to depend on the column data types, okay? Now what? I said you can ask the questions about data, but what if I don't know, what questions to ask? I can do this, I can type this comment, suggested questions, and it's gonna give me a list of questions that I might be interested in about my data, okay? For example, here, which effective to date has a top overall average income? Which location code has a top total claim amount? Like I can do this, I can click on this question and it's gonna give me those visualizations to answer my question, okay? I could also take this, sorry. So it says which location code. I could type this which location code has top income, right? This I can do this. Sorry, that does this, It's just gonna do the location code and it's gonna look at the income. See, rural has the average income. Okay, highest. That's what is up. A rural location code has the highest average income. Okay, so this is how you would do it. The whole idea, I type my question in English and I get an answer. It's not gonna answer your quiz questions here, but it's gonna give you the answers about your data, okay? Now, let's look at the next topic. I know, guys, it's a lot, but please trust me. You will have to watch the recording more than once, and you're gonna get it. It's a lot. So this is a way to add visualization, right? You can just select the visualization. And when you have selected the visualizations, those are the related visualizations that you might be interested in. So based on the visualization that you have selected, it will try to suggest. You can copy the card, you can delete the card if you need to. Okay, so this is a hierarchy. Spiral model we looked at. You can change which columns are being analyzed just by editing the scope, right? So if I go back to my visualization here, I can change here, edit scope. It's just gonna change which visualizations, which columns I use, okay? I can just remove columns and I can add columns to the scope, okay? Next thing here, we went through that. Driver analysis, I showed you that. Decision trees, I'm gonna touch a little bit, but we're gonna cover more in the next class, okay? In a few weeks from now. On week 6, we're gonna have the next one. So please make sure to mark your calendar. So here is a decision tree, right? But to show this better, I need to do the full screen. So I'm gonna go to full screen. Otherwise, it's not quite readable. Okay. What is this? Well, the whole idea is that just think about it. Suppose that I have a brand new record. I know the customer information. I know the type of vehicle that the customer drives. I know what type of accident the customer had. How am I going to use that information to predict, to estimate the total claim amount? How? Well, I have to build some type of model, right? So this is a decision tree model. What's happening here? The first here, this represents all data that is being visualized. It shows me average total claim amount for all data, standard deviation, etc. Right? And to get even better view, I can close all these panels. So see, that's a location code. This location code is used as a first split. Remember, that was a one-way driver with the highest strength, right? So if location code is rural, we take this path, right? If the location code is urban, we take this path. If it's suburban, we take this path. And if I hover, it shows me the average total claim amount for the suburban location. It shows me the standard deviation and also shows me the number of records, the percentage of records to which this applies. So I have most of my data is for the suburban location. I can see it here, right? So you can collapse. The nodes can be collapsed, see? But if you see that little underline under the node, it means that the node is collapsible, okay? So let's collapse. You probably want to expand only what you're currently looking at. But see, I collapsed it, just collapsed. So let's see how to read this. So I know that the location is suburban. What do I do next? Am I done? No. Well, I can keep on improving the tree to make it as accurate as possible. What I know is that I see this. The whole idea is this is something called information gain. So am I going to gain any more information just from adding another column, adding another split? Yes. And it's a vehicle class. What it's analyzing, it's looking at the one-way drivers. So vehicle class is the next decision maker, right? And based on the vehicle class, I take the next path. So if it's a two-door or four-door car, I take this branch, right? And that line under shows that this branch can be expanded. And I see here the average. This is the average total claim amount for what? How do I read this rule? I traverse it here for suburban location code and two-door or four-door car. Again, I can keep going here. Next one, it shows the coverage. So now, what do I know? If location code is suburban, if it's a two-door or four-door car, and if it's what? Basic coverage, This is an estimated total claim amount, right? And this is estimated total claim, right under. This is a estimated total claim amount for suburban location code. Vehicle class is going to be 2 or 4-door cars, and coverage is premium. This node does not expand further because there is no underline. But this node does expand further, right? So this one is also looking at the marital status. Basically, it's trying to split the data with the highest information, get the highest information gain. Another stopping criteria is that if making a split results in a node with less than 25 records, it's gonna merge it back. It's not gonna split, okay? The limit, there is a limit, 36. No more than 36 node in a tree. All right, so that's another stopping criteria. That's the rules. You traverse the tree from left to right. All right, but this does not visualize the percentage of data to which the rule applies. There is another here, sunburst. It visualizes the percentage to which the rule applies. I see I collapse this tree, and it's going to collapse this diagram accordingly. What is this? The first circle is the first split column. See, this is all data, right? The whole thing is all data. Then we're looking at what? At the location code, right? So the percentage, 63% of data is a suburban location code, and that's an average total claim amount for that code. And if you see that line around the segment, it means that segment is expandable. So I can click on my suburban, and I can see this is a percentage of data where the location is suburban and the vehicle class is SUV. See, it's taking a portion of this specific slice. It does not matter that you could have suburban location for, that you could have SUV as you have SUV for rural and for urban. It's going to be different. But in this case, we're looking at the percentage of this. We're looking at percentage of data where it's a suburban and the vehicle class is SUV. But notice there is also the luxury. If the percentage is small, it does not mean that the data is not important. It means that maybe we don't have enough data, but well, it's 267 records. We may want to do some analysis on that too, depends. Okay, but I'm just telling you what can be done. You see this underline, it means that this can be expanded more and you can keep going. But as you expand in this, your tree diagram gets expanded also. See that? So that's, I believe I have a video where I'm showing these two together next to each other and going over different representations. So remember, tree diagram visualizes the rule itself. Sunburst, it shows the percentage, right? The portion of rules, portion of data to which the rule applies. Here to see the percentage, you have to hover, okay? But I want to see it, all of them at once, right? So you use the sunburst. This is the rules in the English language, right? If location code is suburban vehicle class employment status, then this is predicted value. And also notice in the tree, the color code is a predictive value. The higher the predicted value, the darker is the node. Okay? So those are the, well, in other words, well, if I get a new record, I would have to traverse the tree to estimate total claim amount. All right? I hope it makes sense. So I'm gonna close the full screen. Okay. Now let's go back to that is decision tree, okay? Decision rules, we covered that. Sunburst, okay? This is embedded assistant. You are taught to do it both ways. One way you can use it on a home page, and another way, my preferred way, honestly, to use it in an exploration, because you know exactly this is my data and I'm exploring this data. So, but your preference could be different from mine. Those are just different commands. I put it for you, okay? There is one more topic here. It's a comparison card. So basically, if I go back, let's save this. I'm gonna go back to my visualizations here, right? And let's pick something. This is the average total claim amount by location code, right? So I'm gonna make a copy. Well, first let's add filter. I'm just gonna go to fields and I'm gonna add a local filter here, and let's find gender. That's a good one. I'm gonna drag and drop gender in the local filters, and I'm gonna select the female in here, right? Now I want to make a copy of this visualization, right? So let's just go to this card, and this is a card. Let's see if I go here and I can do duplicate. Now I'll go back to the copy. I want to go back to this filter, and I want to change this to male, okay? So I have now two visualizations, one for male, one for female. Now what I'll do, I'm gonna select both of them, right? I can select both of them, oops, and do compare. See that I selected both of them. Now I'm gonna click, I can do, at the top, there is an option here to do compare. See this, so it's gonna show side by side. Alternatively, I could add a new card. I could add a new card and choose comparison card and then drag and drop visualizations. There are two ways. But see here, sometimes I want to know if gender really makes a difference on average total claim amount, right? So I have one chart for males and one chart for females, and I can do my comparison. Is that for location? I can see if I look at by location, I want to know if gender really makes an impact. So I can just select, because if you see that, let's close this, it just shows you chart A and chart B. It's gonna just show you different values. Okay, and you can compare. You can select, like see here, I selected this and the same data point here. This allows you comparing. Okay, just remember that. Save. That was that. I know I've been talking for an hour and a half. Okay, this is the link for the videos. There is a nice videos playlist, and it's on different topics. How did I come up with this? Well, I was watching what students find the most difficult, and I created a separate video because it's kind of takes a long time to go through the whole recording of the session to find where it was covered. Or sometimes there is something that was not covered during a session, but something that came up in students' questions. You might be asking a very good question, right? But the better way to answer is to show. But then if you have a question, your classmates may have the same question. So I just keep on adding visualizations to this list. There could be some additions, okay? But this is a playlist. Now the floor is open for questions. Do you have questions for me? You probably remember my name by now, right? I was the one who created your account, and I know some of you were very excited to get access, but I had to wait for registration to stop before I could start creating because it's a manual process, and I physically had to enter all your information for each one of you, and we have 5 sessions. So about 140 account total, something like that, maybe. Another thing to point out, if you are retaking the class, right, you have the same account that you had when you took the class first time. I did not delete. You have all your work. I did not delete any work that you did on a first class attempt. Okay? There are several people who attempted the class before, but then for some reason either did not do well or had to drop. I did not delete their account. Your account stays, and all your work that you may have done is still there. Okay? I did not touch it. And please do yourself a favor, mark the calendar. Please block the calendar. It's gonna be in 4 weeks from now. We're gonna have another session. It's gonna be on more on decision trees, and it's gonna cover the dashboard and stories. Please block the calendar. It's better to attend the session. By that time, you will have more exposure to the software. Last time, we had an interactive session where students asked outstanding questions. It was just a blessing to have that session. So please prepare. And another thing is this: if you are unable to attend the next session, here is what you could do. You could still submit your questions early, try to do it day ahead, and I will try to answer them during the session. So, one next session, if you have questions, right, good questions, if you have some questions, but you are unable to attend the session live, please at least forward your questions, and I will try to answer them during the session. Okay? We can do it. But please try to attend. This is a good use of time, and you set aside the time because it's hard to find time to watch the recording, right? But here you schedule the time, okay? And you just try to make yourself available. I understand things come up, but if possible, I encourage to attend. Okay? Questions. You can type in the chat or you can unmute yourself. Anything you want to ask me? After this session, please try to log in. I will send your teachers the recording and the slides, okay? But please, as soon as possible, try to access your account. We do not want somebody on the last week of class to say, I can't access my account, okay? As soon as possible, try to log in, and also make sure that you see file in a team folder, okay? If you do not put the ticket in, it's very easy fix, okay? So questions. Did the session help? I hope it did. Well, if there are no questions, that we're gonna call it a good night, right? And I'm gonna see you in 4 weeks. Okay? I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna end the recording, okay? Alright. Oh, okay. There were 3 questions if you can email me. Well, you submit the ticket. Mike or me will pick it up, okay? You submit the ticket. That's what it is. Oh. Everything that I went over applies to assignment, okay? Everything that I went over today applies to assignment. Okay? Everything applies. Because see, we're gonna have a session on week 6. It applies. Okay, guys, so I want to know for quiz 2, you have to understand, and I showed you that video, okay? I showed you that video. Okay? I showed you example. Okay, guys, so have a good night, okay?